lot I build as important announcements that I wanted to record for last week. It was Jay's birthday. He flew in late, and then we recorded an episode, and as I was editing it, the entire street here in the entire neighborhood here in the annex, all the power just shut off, went out. My entire system was off for 4-5 hours. When I turned my system back on and I tried to edit what we had recorded for last week's episode, it was all corrupted. Didn't work. We did an entire hour and all that effort into editing. It's gone, lost, purposeless. And I thought maybe maybe it was a good thing. I mean, if you listen to this show, you might have gathered or caught on to a formula, some repetition between Jay and I. Maybe you can call it complaints. Maybe you can take what we say constructively. But overall, yeah, you can say that we're two bitter dudes that maybe had a little push back in the day, but now what are they doing other than complaining? I realize realistically what this show has become, really what this show was from the start. It was, maybe a big bad complaint from guys that our listeners have the right to argue. Who are these guys? We could just be bitter, and I can't speak for Jay, but I can certainly agree that that's where my head was at from the start of this show. I can tell you what my goals were in wrestling, but honestly, I did not have the self-respect to get there. I wanted the fame and the notoriety immediately. Once I got a little taste of it, which was honestly pretty easy to get in small town Niagara. Everybody knew each other. And if you did something that wasn't smoke weed, stay in and play video games, then you looked like you had the attempt of being a cool dude. Oh, he's pretty neat. Let's flock around him, maybe. Okay, nobody flocked around me. I wasn't that kind of person because, honestly, I'm maybe the kind of person that you can't stand a conversation with for more than 5 minutes. I understand. I get like that, too, with some of these topics, with American politics and gender politics. And if there's a God. Oh, God. All these things, personal beliefs, they're 5-minute conversations for me, but when there is a topic that I get really passionate about, I talk really fast, and I keep going, and then I want to get really emotional, my voice can go up like this, that's the thing, and I get really worked up, and I get so Seinfeld-ish, that when I do get worked up, people can't seem to differentiate my anger between my excitement or my emotions, and I just, I'm a fucking annoying dude. But with all the mistakes I made in the past, I felt like I needed to go back and meet with those people I did wrong. That's what a Libra does, unfortunately. They're too empathetic. They put other people's emotions first, and in my case, it was all about saving face. I wanted to come out the good guy, maybe, but mostly I wanted to explain myself, feel like I was being the adult. Because I just couldn't live with the idea that, there would be people out there that wouldn't like me. But realistically, I am a shitty person. That premature egomaniac, all too soon at way too young of an age. I've fucked many people over in pretty pathetic ways. I made these choices, and they've obviously put me in a spot that I'm not happy with now. I'm Virgil. I'm a white Indies Virgil. Essentially. Hence why, I'm so used to the heat and the burning of the bridges. And that's the thing, I never knew how to choose my words constructively. Because there are a lot of people that need some awakenings and need to be said, hey man, what you're doing isn't necessarily the best. But instead, my emotions get ahead of me, and the words I choose just make it seem like insults, and then I come off like a petty little fuck. Which I am, but right now I'm spending so much time going back in time and trying to dig up the past and make up for it, that I'm completely disregarding the present. I'm getting myself nowhere, just really going around in circles, most time reoccurring those shitty things that have already happened because I keep bringing them up, while others want to move on from them, and it irritates them more that they have to be reminded of them. And it slows me down, living in the past, not being able to get over what people thought of you then. There's that moment of your childhood where a child decides... Well, they don't get to decide, but it is decided if they're good or bad. A rite of passage. Families have traditions for this, the bar mitzvahs, for example. I never necessarily had that. I guess I always had that wonder, what was the final decision? What was I in the end? And I think... especially that I use my vices so much as a reliance to make up for my attitude and my anger. It turned into worry that I might be a bad person because I wouldn't want to face it, I wouldn't want to accept it. But all in all, you have to be the adult here. You have to know yourself better than anybody else and not let them make that decision for you. If you think I'm a shitty person, well, maybe I think of myself higher, but... in this case, yeah, my worth ain't much. Maybe I am a bit of a bad person because of those fucking shitty decisions I've made, and I've let them haunt me and keep me up for nights. I have focused so much on full-time wrestling that right now, honestly, I have to announce my retirement of full-time wrestling, my retirement of wrestling on the reg. It is my passion. And you know what? It always was for so long. But I no longer need that young boy mentality. Plus, I'm too old. That young boy mentality of, any bookings help, bro. I have broken myself. But at the same time, I've had my accomplishments. But, the broken parts last longer. Well, they go on further. And they last with you forever. Until... one little thing happens and you're reminded, like, shit, that was like a bad knee injury that I had 3 years ago. And, 3 years goes by and you might just be walking down the street and twist your knee the wrong way. And you're like, shit, this is weird. I had to turn down a North Bay booking last Saturday, which is sad because, I could have met Jerry McConnell, Sliders, because my knee is shot. And so is my heart. And so is my confidence. But I have let wrestling take over everything I've thought about. When I started college, actually, it was a naive decision because honestly, it was just a community college, very general, basic diploma that I would come out with in the end. And I told myself, all right, I'm gonna put my head on straight here. I'm going to quit smoking weed, and I'm going to drop wrestling. I'm just going to focus only on school. The responsible thing, the thing that your parents would tell you to do. That one bit of advice that they can give you and they can be right about. You know what I did? The first bit of friends I made, Dave and Matt Fowler, the weed smokers, got with that crowd immediately, and all I could think about in lecture was just fantasize about wrestling spots. Well, I'm trying to learn about phantom power and the history of audio production, cutting tape, and supposed to be taking notes for something that was going to be in a big fucking exam that I should probably worry about my grades instead of just passing. I focused on, wow, the length of that stage down there with that desk. If we put a table on that desk sideways, a running powerbomb would be sick. I know it's stupid, but honestly, yeah, that's what the hazy one-track brain is like. The stupid thoughts, but like running power bombs in the most illogical places. And yeah, I did think about that a lot. I was just like the new kids in a ring for the first time. My ex-wife, she experienced it all the same. She had the same bunch of trainers. Those trainers that taught us, focus on wrestling and only about wrestling. But what did I actually learn in the end? And how dumb did it really make me? cracking my head around while looking up to short-lived rock stars. You know what I'm not right now? Smart. Knowledgeable. How much of a waste to society, a lack of contribution to the world have I become? Just by spending so much money on wrestling tights that would realistically not get me that far out of Southern Ontario. And now here I am, and am I still going to be one of those kids that calls himself a wrestler? Yeah, I got some road stories, and I met some cool cats. As far as me, oh gosh, that skill set needs to be built upon. And TOHST needs to go on, and it will, because there needs to be that commentator in the world that people aren't going to agree with. With all that drama in the world right now, there still needs to be something saying with one side. Some sides are much, much uglier than others. In a world where freedom of speech is dying, okay, don't say like this is like, you know, somebody like supporting really nasty, dirty morals, because I'm not. I'm just so fucking angry at what happened in Charlottesville. It's just disgusting. But that's not the topic of the show. I do believe that somebody needs to say the words that nobody else cares to. Nobody else wants to, is afraid to. Golden comedy rule. Either everything is funny or nothing is. But there needs to be those social commentators for wrestling. A Ben Shapiro, a Sank Uger. I butcher that guy's name, but the guy from the Young Turks. And Alex Jones is fucking absurd and crazy, that guy is. But there needs to be those in the world. Because indie wrestlers go too far with fans that just see them face to face, and they kind of get so intimidated that they have nothing more to say other than, man, that was great. You were so good. That was awesome. I will be here for you. And so will Jay. But wrestling has taken over my concentration for far too long, and it's made me a pretty stupid guy. What is my skill set, even? And what am I doing to add on top of that resume? I've been thinking about that so much lately, obviously. So I need to make that decision for the sake of my well-being, my conscience, and my health. My in-ring experiences, I can never trade for anything else, but now it's time I become a full-time troll. But I need to do it constructively and stop being so hurtful and just relying on insults. I need to credit people when there is good, because indie wrestling right now, there is good in the world. Wrestling doesn't just suck. But around me, in my backyard, whether I take a 3-minute drive or a 3-minute walk, there's always something that is very, very annoying. And it needs to be said, because somebody needs to say it. You as a promoter too, yeah, you, I'm pointing at you. You need to be told when you're doing something wrong. And I'm going to say it constructively now, because if I just tell you that you're fat and you're never trained properly and you're training people to have the wrong mentality and you don't really know what psychology is and you're just kind of teaching them to be a mark that's a wrestler, then that's wrong. That's hurtful. Now I got to choose better words. Now is the time when I put full effect into becoming independent wrestling's social justice warrior. I will be here for you. And so will HipStar.ca. It's a very shitty website right now that I keep plugging. Maybe that's part of the joke, but you know what? We got a bunch of other things coming up on there. 1-800-NEW-GET-IT-neighborgod.com. And it's coming all at once. But not right now, because I gotta get my head on straight. But I'll see you tomorrow. Tonight, it's Saturday night.